So I went 2 levels above me. And she said, start with human resources, HR, and start with leadership development, LD. So I said, okay. So once a month, for 30 minutes, I networked with someone I don't know. And then I spoke to a manager who I haven't worked with in 4 or 5 years. And then I talked to somebody I didn't even know. And it started building, and it started to get a little bit more comfortable from there. So the person I spoke to in HR and LD, my boss says to me 6 months later, that's great, have you recontacted them? How's everything going with them? I said, I have no idea. I checked them off my box, I networked with them. I haven't done anything. I checked off the box. Networking is maintaining a relationship somewhere along the line. But before you sit there and say, I have no time for this, I spend 45 minutes a month doing this. 15 minutes to prep, 30 minutes to have the actual meeting. Can you find 45 minutes in your month, somewhere along the lines, to meet with someone you have no idea who can potentially influence your next move? I think you can find the time. So I said I didn't do anything. So I call up 6 months later my HR, my LD buddy. And this is where it really clicked. They both happened to pick up the phone, and that never happens in today's day and age. One says to me, I am so glad to hear from you. How's everything going? Tell me about it. I heard you got a new position, and at the time I had just started a new position. And he said, yeah, I gave your name to that person. The other person picks it up and says, I heard you're in a new job. I didn't even have to tell him. You know how he ended the conversation? You made my day. Apparently, my checklist was a little bit more than a checklist. It was building a relationship. In less than 30 minutes, I built some type of relationship with enough people, with those two, that they got me the job that I was in, that led to the job that I took, which led me to the job I'm in right now. Because of that first conversation, because my boss told me I had some work to do. The third person I spoke to was that person I spoke to who I had worked for in 4 years. Why would I do something like that? Why?
Show them where you are now.
You got it. Show them where I am right now. They had a snapshot of who I was. They had the Tom Dowd, up until that very moment, perception. So in a talent plan, they would have said, here's how Tom was up until 4 years ago. They now have a new perspective. In fact, it's a better perspective because I can tell them how I've led up to those 4 years and all the things they didn't know about me. It was a great conversation. We had a connection point from the past, and we had new connection points moving forward. The fourth person I spoke to, where it finally clicked, I spent 30 minutes talking to him. And after 30 minutes, still kind of frightened, talking to a senior level executive, whoa. And I said, thank you. Thank you for the time. Thank you for spending and investing the time. I know how busy you are. And he said, stop. I don't think you realize how much we like talking about our business to other people, especially people we don't know. We get to see what happens all around us. We get to meet people we don't know, and we get to put on our little list who we think might be available if something pops up. Doesn't always, but why not? He said, thank you. He hired me 4 months later. I was privy during that time, because of projects and other things that I was involved in, to people's calendars. And I watched every single day someone coming into a senior level manager's calendar saying, I want 30 minutes. And I said, what's going on around me? If you are not doing it, trust me, it is happening. It's happening every single day in this company. Remember, it is not kissing up. It is not intentional job shopping. It could be as simple as I have no idea what's going on in that business, and I can learn and bring it back to where I was, where I am, and teach it to other people. Broadening your business acumen, finding out problem solutions to things going on in your business. Can you find a connection in their business? It was happening every day, and I chose to say it's going to happen with me once a month. I've been doing this now for 2 years. The last question I asked of everyone is what?
Who would you refer me on to next?
Who else should I meet with? Do you have a couple names, 2 or 3? You do that 3 times, you have a list of 9 people. My 2 years is going to go on forever. Because I keep getting new names, and I keep getting new names, and now my network is building exponentially. I am doing that work a little bit, and it's doing a lot of work for me. But don't be afraid to ask those tough questions either. Now, remember number 3 and number 4. Number 3 was a person I had worked with for a while. The other one I was kind of familiar with, and I ended up working for him. Both situations, I asked the question. I said, I am currently in a role that I've been in my level for years. I'm constantly making lateral moves, and I'm never moving up. Why? What are you looking for in a leader at this level? What can I do differently to get to this level? And they both, coincidentally, on separate occasions said, it's your reputation. Deep swallow. They said, your reputation is you get stuff done. You can execute. There's no one that's going to come in and dig any deeper than you are. You're going to get the job done, so you are a doer. Nobody sees you as a leader. Tough. You bet to hear. But how meaningful is it for 2 people who you're just chatting with who have no vested interest but to give you honest answers? 2 people told me that. So what I started to do was to take more of a leadership role, communicate a little bit differently when I say I am leading the efforts of blank versus I am doing. Somewhere along the lines I would say I'm doing, and my communication style was, hey, I'm the guy digging in. I said, hey, now I'm the guy leading the people that are digging in. And so the language changed. My project for that leadership program. With white knuckles, I sat there and let somebody else do it while I led it. I met with them once a week on my project. They did a fantastic job. But it taught me how to delegate. It taught me how to lead. It taught me how, because someone told me I'm the doer, not the leader, bam! It hit me square, ready to set up this appointment. What do you tell them? I'm here to network with you? Yes. Why beat around the bush? Tell them exactly what you want from it. But you have to have a name, and you have to have a reason as to why you're doing this. If you're doing it for the sake of purely networking, you haven't done enough work. You have to understand what is your goal. Do you want to broaden your business acumen? Are you job shopping? And that's fine. Are you looking at future steps? And that's fine too. Are you looking to bring something back to your line of business? That's good too. But you have to have a goal in mind. Because that goal in mind is going to establish the questions you want to ask that person. Because yes, you are the interviewer and also the interviewee. Have a goal in mind. And then state that goal in your email, or excuse me, in your calendar appointment. And 99% of the time, they'll have an admin professional who will simply hit click accept and tentative, and they won't read it until the day of the meeting, and that's fine with me too. I'm on their calendar because I can explain my reason for being there when we meet. As long as they hit accept or tentative, I'm in good shape. And it really truly says, hi, my name is Tom Dowd. Here's what my current role is. Here's what I'm doing. I'm interested in, yes, networking. I'm interested in understanding a little bit about your business, and I'm doing this because I want whatever my goal is. It's 3 sentences, 4 max. It's a reoccurring appointment on my calendar. It pops up and says, set up your senior leadership meeting, and it has the paragraph written out. I copy and paste it because I hate to waste time, you know that. I copy and paste it in, and I fill in the blanks with what my goals are, and off I go. And then I have another reoccurring appointment that pops up and says, prep for it, 15 minutes. And then for 15 minutes, I write out the questions in the comments I want to start with. And I start with, here's my background. It's your elevator speech. It is your 1 to 2 minute speech on who you are, what you've done, and where you want to be. Followed up with the question, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? And guess what? You now have a connection. If you have built that connection right, and you know what college they went to, or you know if they like sports, or you know something, you may want to get something that builds a little bit of that personal relationship, that connection with that person. And once you do that, you can start asking your questions. I asked some person who was overseeing leaders, and they were really high leaders, like CEO type leaders, and he said, I had to sit there and give them feedback. I said, oh good, what juicy stuff did you get? And he would tell me. In 30 minutes, I was astounded. It was really cool. I learned something. I also learned about some things that I needed to work on. Even people at this level need feedback. And me at this level needed that same feedback. I was like, oh. So all the feedback was sharing. There have been some people I've networked with who still, after the 30 minutes, didn't get it. You kind of got this feeling through their tone, and they'd say, I'm not sure why he's doing this. And you kind of feel like they're on their heels, and they're really kind of cautious in some of the answers they gave you. That's probably happened in the last 2 years plus. Where I just felt like the connection was never there. But you know what happens with that? When they're sitting around a table and your name comes up, if you had at least a decent conversation with them, they'll say, oh yeah, I remember, I spoke to him. That's all I need. They may not remember exactly what we talked about. I don't expect people to sit there and take notes while I'm sitting with them, but I do hope to be remembered this much while they're sitting around this table to say something. So what are we taking away? We're taking away, are all your eggs in one basket. We're taking away that opportunity seldom labels itself, and you have to drive your own career. If you do those 2 things, it will build exponentially. It will do the work for you. Break out of the fact that we're not in an up and down, your boss's boss mentality anymore. Think laterally, not up and down. It's not as hard as